thing of it is, the thing of it is. Well, when I was riding around, I was thinking about um, the kind of culture you would want, and in particular within the basket of the consilience project and other things like that, uh, efforts to help the public make better sense of the world and be their own fact checkers and have resources to good, solid information about the real world and how the real world really works, and so on and so forth. And then how that would improve our sovereignty and agency and ability to make better choices so that we could uh, all participate in a democratic way in solving problems and making life nicer for everybody and living in a world where there's peace and less violence and less confrontation and so on and so forth. Imagine if you were smart enough and discerning enough and aware enough and critical thinking enough and so on and so forth, a good sense maker, and you lived in a culture that really valued that highly. And then you could probably participate in making things better and better and collectively doing that. You know, not just wanting to be the individual who figured it all out and did something great and got compensated for it. So they they say that, Scandinavian countries are happy. Well, they're happy about their contentment or the content, so they're happy. It's a complicated equation. And then other more individualistic countries, no one's ever really totally satisfied because there's always more to get, and so on and so forth. But the basic bottom line of all this is, what kind of a culture do you want to live in? A culture that needs to produce all kinds of fancy weapons because there's just so much conflict in the world, and we need this conflict because it's good business, it's profitable for some people? Or a country where it's just like, hey, this is simply a good life. I'm just enjoying myself here, having a good time with my friends, and doing whatever I do. So it's really about building that culture, right? Where people really don't get sucked into QAnon and so on, and don't have to hero worship billionaires, and can kind of see through things and have an ability, even though they're not expert, at understanding how things work. And if they have to go to the experts to understand something, they know who to trust, and they know how to find that trust and evaluate their trust. High trust countries like Japan, I don't know if those people are happier than anybody else. It's a very unique culture, but they seemed content to be Japanese, comfortable with who they were in general. And there was enough, counterculture opportunities there for people to opt out of the mainstream in a certain kind of way if they wanted to. But in general, people were pretty happy about being Japanese. Not a big deal. So if we can build the kind of culture where everybody's a good sense maker, you know, people really just aren't mal-informed, and they're not mal-informed for nefarious purposes, So I'm pretty well informed, and so are all my friends. And we're pretty comfortable with that. If we have to get to the meat of an issue, we know how to do it. We have the skills and abilities to get there. We also trust each other in general. We're not all the same. We don't all like the same things, but we generally trust each other. High trust. What's wrong with that? That's why I like this consilience project thing. That's why I like people like Jamie Wheal, because even though he uses a lot of jargon and rhetoric that comes right out of consulting and his wonderfully perceptive and educated background, he's a lover of life. He's an advocate for the flow, for the good times, for being inspired by being alive. And I love him for that. And I like Daniel Schmachtenberger because he's modest and he doesn't need to take credit for anything, you know? That's not what it's about, being at the forefront of the intellectual super beings. You know, he doesn't need that. He just wants to do something good. He feels the joy and the comfort and the security and the trust of being able to make sense of things. He loves the process and he wants to share it with other people. I think that's great. And then you're with people who understand how what it means to work in concert with other people to achieve something beautiful. I love that. Okay, so that's it. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Mind your health. Take care of your people. Bulyanti out.